Welcome to MojoTalks. I'm Eric, and we've got a fun episode today. We're doing something we call Bingeworthy, and it's actually based on a series that we do on Fridays where we tell you the top 3 things to binge on streaming services over the weekend. Then we convene a panel on Monday to talk about that, and we've done just that. We have over here Ricky from our video game department. How you doing, Ricky?
Great, yourself?
I'm good. Mariam from Junior Mojo.
Hi.
And the both of you guys binged over the weekend, and now we're going to compare and contrast and decide which series is more binge-worthy. So we went with the past versus the future. We've got Vikings versus Handmaid's Tale. And I should warn you guys, there's going to be some element of spoilers here. We can't talk about, multiple series of, or multiple seasons of a series without revealing some things. So be warned, we're going to reveal some things. Let's get right to it. Let's start with the past. Ricky, Vikings. It's now available, all 5 seasons on Amazon.
Yeah.
And you've been binging, so
Yeah.
what do you think?
So I started watching Vikings back when it came out in 2013. I was like a huge Game of Thrones fan, and I was kind of looking for something that had that same vein. And I came across this show, and I instantly fell in love with it. The writing is incredible. The characters are incredible. There's a lot of action, a lot of politics, and so for me, there's 5 seasons out, which means that if you're looking to binge something, there is a lot of content. Like each episode is like 45 minutes. There's like 10 episodes per season.
But here's my question. You've compared it to Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Is it fair to say it's like Game of Thrones light or the discount?
No,
Game of Thrones?
no, I don't want, no. And I think a lot of the fans would be like, it's not like that.
Right,
It's
I'm
not.
going to get hate mail from that.
It's not like
just
that.
Purely asking.
It's
Yeah.
got its own legs, and it's obviously Game of Thrones is high fantasy, whereas this has roots in history. Now, how accurate the portrayal of the events are can be disputed. Although the writer Michael Hurst, he does a really good job at showing you Vikings as they were. So not these brutes.
Right, there's a lot of misconception about Vikings,
And it
right?
comes from it actually comes from the Christians. The Christians who hated the pagans were these Vikings. They kind of portrayed them with the horns and as these, murderers. And not to say that they didn't rape and pillage. They absolutely did. But with Ragnar, who's our main character, he's a smart man. He's a humble man. He was a farmer, and through a series of events, he became a king. Mm-hmm. And this is during the first and second season, and the show really takes you with Ragnar to the places that he decides to explore. So his curiosity is what drives him out into the world beyond just the Scandinavia, and it's here where you really start to see history play out. So you have when he goes to England, and upon like murdering and killing and doing what Vikings do, he realizes that it's not sustainable to just do that. You need to build settlements. And so he's really he's an intelligent character, and you really root for him because you have the backdrop of all of his crewmates who have this idea that you have to just go out and take everything, but he's like, without negotiation, there's no longevity. So it's really, really well written, and Ragnar's actually based on a legendary Viking hero by the same name, and the story of his song, his saga, and his sons. And so we don't know how much of it is actually true, but there's a good degree that, or a good chance rather, that it's based on generals and Viking chieftains of the time.
So historically accurate to a certain extent.
To a certain extent, it's TV, it's dramatized.
Yeah.
Certain events are like condensed. 100 years past in like a short amount of time for the story's sake, and certain characters' backstories are altered. But on the whole, I think it's a really good portrayal and accurate portrayal of the way life was for the Vikings and England at that time.
Now, my impression is that all was kind of going along well until season 3, and then people are saying season 4 went off the rails, and then other people say, don't worry, season 5 kind of brings it all back, but others are saying season 5 is even more wild than season 4. So where you stand on that?
Well, I think for the first 4 seasons, it takes you on this journey where they're exploring England, and eventually they're branching out to other European places. But there's an event at the end of season 4 that really sets into motion a whole new set of series of events. And huge.
We're not going to spoil it.
We're not going to spoil it, but it really sets up season 5 to be unlike what we've seen in previous seasons. And it's not, a lot of people will say it went off the rails. It's actually very true to the saga of Ragnar Lothbrok. That's what you see happen in season 4 is what will happen in or what does happen in the historical text and the oral traditions. And so, in being faithful to that, I think it's great that they did it because they had to. You can't take a hit historically to appease everybody. And so season 5 pulls no punches. I mean, it gets more insane, and there are so many characters and so many betrayals. It's absolutely, if you're somebody who likes politics and you like obviously the action, you should watch this show right away.
Well, I know someone who likes politics and action.
Yeah.
She's sitting right here.
Oh, great.
Marion. Now, okay, I'm going to throw a bit of a curveball question.
Okay.
How historically accurate are we in season 2 of Handmaid's Tale? Of course, it doesn't really reflect something that happened in history, but how are you feeling about season 2?
Well, I'm feeling good about season 2. I think you can talk a lot about the Handmaid's Tale in terms of historical accuracy and also current day political climate.
Right.
So I think that is definitely present in this season, like heightened in this season even more so.
So now two episodes of season 2 are available on Hulu, and they're going to roll them out as they come. But you were a fan of season 1.
I am, yeah.
You find this to be a very bingeable series as well.
Yes.
And tell me how do you feel the direction is going right now?
Yeah, so season 1, we meet all these handmaids in the middle of this totalitarian regime, in the middle of a huge regime change, and the society is completely different, and a lot of oppression of women. And it's based on Margaret Atwood's 1985 book. And
inspired by 1984.
Inspired by 1984,
Hardly.
you mentioned, yeah. And but the interesting thing is that season 1 ends where the book ends. So this season 2 is really kind of exploring and imagining beyond Margaret Atwood's book. So that's why it's really interesting, and that's why there's going to be some liberties taken, I think.
Okay, so let's just have it out between the past and the future, between Vikings and Handmaid's Tale. Give me a reason why you think yours is more bingeable than Ricky's.
I think that mine is more bingeable because I think that it relates so much to all the news that we're hearing throughout the day. If you're big into kind of the current administration of the United States, or if you're into social issues or things that you're constantly reading about on blogs and on different news channels and that kind of thing, I think you'll really get into The Handmaid's Tale because it really kind of seamlessly deals with those issues that you're already thinking about. So I think that binging a series like that allows you to just kind of explore ideas that are kind of already present in your mind. So it makes it a really easy binge.
Oh. Oof, you got a tough defense coming up.
Who wants to think about all the bad crap happening today? I don't want to be reminded of all the horrible social stuff that's happening in the world. I want to be taken back to a simpler time. A time of kings, a time of pillaging, a time of exploration and wonder and stories of heroes and interesting characters and deep politics. And don't get me wrong, I mean, a lot of the elements that play out, the power struggles, are still relevant today, different context, but it's still relevant today. But the fun that you have watching these characters explore these different lands and these different relationships with each other, I think, and the fact there's 5 seasons, so you got more to watch, and the 5th season really is like in all the seasons are great. The 5th season really does kick things up a notch. I think that if you're waiting for that Game of Thrones 2019, 2020, whenever the hell it's coming out, right?
One, yeah.
If you're waiting for that, and I know you are because I am, and you haven't watched this show, you absolutely need to binge it. It's got everything you're looking for.
I have a counterpoint.
Oh, good.
Okay.
I like this.
So we have a show about Vikings. I haven't watched it, but I'm assuming it is predominantly cast with men.
No, you are actually
Am I wrong?
You are wrong, and let me.
The majority of the cast isn't men.
It's not
majority.
It's not about the majority of the cast. It's the characters and
But how many female characters are
well,
there?
there's actually a lot of female characters and very strong female characters. Something that the Vikings, a lot of people have a big misconception about the Vikings. It's not the way the Christians were with their women. The Viking women were actually just as strong, and some of the most compelling characters and strongest characters in the show are actually, they rule their own kind of cities.
Yeah.
So Lagatha, who's actually she's what they call a shield maiden. She's a formidable warrior. She is the she's the wife of Ragnar. And she separates with him and she goes and do her own thing, and she's super successful and has people under her reign. The Vikings took their women along with them on raids and on pillages. So these characters that you're seeing are actually very strong, very compelling characters.
You said there's a couple of really good characters.
Yeah.
But are these women together? Are they talking to each other?
Yeah, they are. Yeah,
I'm
Alyssa.
gonna propose something.
I don't know.
I think we should have a crossover episode
Oh,
of
man.
Handmaid's Tale and Vikings.
I'll tell you how that's going to end. Everyone from The Handmaid's Tale is going to be dead
I agree
or
with that.
enslaved.
Well, I guess
No, already enslaved. Yeah, but yeah, I feel like that's probably
More
right.
enslaved. Viking enslaved. Yeah.
this is a lot of fun. I'd like to hear what you guys think. So let us know in your comments between Vikings or Handmaid's Tale. Which do you think is more watchable, more bingeable? And we're going to keep binging. And thank you guys for being here. Ricky, Mariam, I'm not sure who won. We'll let them decide. But thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.